Okay, hello, this is Circus Dog, and I'm just doing a little. I was going to do a game review of Starfield, but there's just so many good game reviews out there. And I'm not talking about the super hype, it's amazing, or the super bad, it stinks for the most basic reasons. But there are actually some well thought out reviews that I feel like I'd just be retreading on territory that would have already been covered. But I want to cover basically why I'm not going to be continuing the Starfield series. And it's for a few basic reasons. One is that although I had fun playing the game and I think it was worth the purchase, and in my mind, any game is worth a purchase, no matter how great or disappointing it is, if you can get an hour of gameplay out of it for every dollar you spent. And I got more than 60 hours out of it trying different things, trying to figure out what I liked about the game and didn't. So in that regards, it wasn't really a waste of money. But the reason I'm discontinuing the series, it's for a few basic reasons. The first being that, well, the game succeeds in doing everything. It's a first-person shooter. It's a survival game. It's open world RPG, modding, all this stuff, and yet at the same time, it fails to actually excel at any of them. I didn't have a single epic battle where I felt like, oh, that was fantastic. I didn't have a single quest. There was one quest that I actually felt like I had influence on the outcome, and I did. But then when I finished the game, there was no difference in the overall gameplay. It wouldn't have made a difference which choice I picked. Also, the game is just, it goes back to not being good at anything. I tried building cool bases, but I didn't see the point to it. The system for getting supplies is you can get so many supplies, but you don't really have any real use for them. And the menus are, quite frankly, the menu system is really bad. The most basic system, you can't even compare like weapons you have in your inventory to ones you may have in a store hold and directly just compare stats to see which ones you like and don't like. You literally have to click on each weapon, look at what the ammo is, what it does, try to remember. You can compare it to something you actually have that you're using, but you don't want to compare everything to one weapon because you're carrying a bunch of different types. So that was disappointing. Also, the game, what I do in my series is I do interacting with the NPCs, and I have a lot of fun with it. I make a lot of my own fun, so I probably enjoyed this game maybe more than most people. But when I eventually find out that the choices you make have no difference in the outcome, then it kind of takes out my motivation to perform because I know no matter what choices I want to make or however way I want to twist the game's performance, it's going to keep forcing me back into a position. Also, between the survival problem, the shipbuilding was great, but I couldn't think of a real reason after I modified all these ships. Like, how is it going to make my space battle better or not? I had all these class systems, and I tried to figure out which classes were best or what kind of character. Did I want to be a starship captain? Did I want to be a land based guy? That just never really went into fruition that any of them could develop into anything interesting. There was the problems with factions and choices. Being with one faction didn't really make a difference. I play usually a test game alongside my series so that I can try out different things to just see how they would play out so that I could make interesting choices when I'm doing my performances without ruining the game. And in the test game, it just came out to be a lot of not. I set so many loading screens, so you're constantly loading between here and there, which means you're playing the same animation. There wasn't any fluidity. No, you couldn't just go from one building into a building and out of a building. So you always knew if you went through a loading door, you were basically discontinuing what was going on inside. So even if you could do something as creating tremendous havoc within a building, as soon as you left, even if what you did in the building would result in some kind of action outside of building, it wasn't directly connected to into the building. It was like, okay, you're now the bad guy, but you didn't have people from in the building chasing you out. There was no follow through with actions. It was a separate set of people. You couldn't try to change the outcome. There was NPCs. I tried to basically take over organizations, do real drastic things, which it kind of gave you the option to. There was one where I was on I think the United Colonies system defense ship, and I just decided, the heck with this, I'm going to kill the commander and everybody on the ship, and I did. Except you can't actually kill the commander and anybody on the ship. I wanted to kill everybody and take the ship over. You can't take the ship over. You can't actually kill the peoples, which means the moment you leave the ship, they're going to come back to life and the ship is back to normal. So killing everybody only just is like saying, go ahead and hunt me, but you don't get anything out of that. The locations, I didn't have as, I thought there was some interesting planet variations, but even wildlife, I never felt uh, like any kind of immersion in wildlife. You would see a few of things here and there. There was no huge packs. I was expecting at some point at least, for as simple as it was, that I'd run across like 50 animals in a herd just coming through to where, yeah, they're herd animals and you could probably mow them down. But if you weren't careful, if you upset them, you could actually be killed by 50 low level herd animals because they all attack you at once. But that never happens. It was almost like every situation was the same. There would be like 5 herd animals, and then 2 hunters would show up and kill those herd animals. And then if you'd interfere, you'd end up just killing the hunters. As a result, I felt like up to the point I played the game was really as far as I could play it for entertainment purposes. And so if I continued doing performances, I was literally just going to be trying to create variation on scenarios that were just going to keep playing out the same way. And it was really a disappointment. I think there's a lot of good in the game, and I think it's a game that a lot of people will enjoy. And if you're the kind of person who basically, if you're a farming type person, like where you can play a game where you just like to farm it and collect things and do things, then this can keep you infinitely busy. But for me, those kind of games really, I started to lose interest in them back 10 years ago and there's better games that do it better. And unfortunately, Starfield just doesn't do one thing really well. And so because of that, I'm not going to be continuing the series. So I apologize to anyone who out there. I thank those who watched it. And, maybe if mods come along or the game evolves, I'll step back into it. Like I said, there's a lot of good in here. But just as far as the series goes, I really don't think there's much more I could do other than keep rehashing same turf over and over with no matter what I said or did, ending up with the same results. So thank you very much for this time, and I would basically use this as just my layman review. Thanks.